this is Russ. Yeah, I'm back in the car again. Yeah, my voice is all messed up, man. I'm trying to get over a cold. Yeah. 9:41 a.m., 34 degrees outside, and it's overcast. So this is the day after the end of the Cabda dealer show. I didn't go the second day. I was really planning on going the second day. Originally I wasn't, but then after I checked the video of what I've recorded, I said, well, there's a number of companies I think I would like to see. I wasn't feeling up to it. I was not feeling well. I slept later than I wanted to, and so by the time I got up, I said, by the time I get there, I'm not going to get the best parking space anymore. I was actually only two spaces away from the front entrance of the door of the hotel, because it's handicap parking, and these are bike dealers. They all can ride bikes. Most likely, they don't have a issue. So nobody was in the handicap parking spots. Well, anyway, I didn't go. So I stayed home, and I wasn't feeling well. I'm still not feeling too good, although you'll see that I'm not even wearing a jacket, but I do have my sweatshirt on. I don't usually like wearing the jacket while I'm in the car, and it's only 34 degrees. Only 34 degrees. Well, considering other days have been like 18 or even 0 degrees, 34 is a heat wave. So let me give you some of my impressions of the show. We've been talking about the show for a while now, but the video is the video. But let me give you some impressions of what I thought about the show. People were asking in the comments today, as I'm reading the comments before heading off to Costco now. A lot of them wanted to know about what was new there, what was the exciting thing, what was the trends and all that. I have to say, after seeing so many bikes in one spot, it reminded me of my living room. No, after seeing so many bikes there, I said, if you took the names off the bikes, I think you'd have a hard time figuring out which company's bikes are whose. Yeah, a bike kind of looks like a bike, doesn't it? It does. So nothing really stood out. The one bike company I think that really stood out most to me was Rambo bikes. It was the very first bike company when I walked in. That's the very first thing you saw was Rambo bikes. And here's the reason I thought it was different. It's because, first off, it looks like a bike, but these are dual motor bikes, right? And super heavy duty bikes. I had a chance to talk to them. I didn't put them on the camera because I wasn't running the recording at the time. And I was talking to them, and somebody also mentioned in the comments too, they sell mostly into the hunting market. Yeah, they're basically hunting bikes. If you go deer hunting, if you look at the footage again, you'll see that they have like a kind of like a cart that you attach to your bike, and then you can drag that behind the bike, right? So if you kill a deer, you just throw them up on that thing and just bike them back out of the woods. So, but I asked him, I says, yeah, I know that based on the style of the bike and what they had on there, I says, yeah, there's no doubt you guys have some really heavy duty looking bikes, dual motor bikes, lots of power. You got to be able to get out of the woods. So I applaud them for that. But I did ask him, I says, are you guys opposed to selling to any of the standard consumer market? He goes, oh no. If somebody wants to buy one of our bikes, that's perfectly fine. But, I had to think afterwards that a bike like that, I guess the average guy on the street really doesn't need it, although you might want it, right? I know there are other dual motor bikes out there. Wired has theirs, and several other companies have theirs. But built to that standard of what Rambo was making, I don't know if the average person really needs that. And they're really not interested in, you know, super speed with that bike. They're interested in heavy duty torque, getting something as heavy as a deer out of the woods. That's why a guy buys that. So, you know, when they talk about off-road bikes, that would be the bike to get. Yeah, I was very impressed with their product line. I didn't show it on the video other than a quick overview, but after talking to them and looking closer, I go, wow, that's actually very impressive. I mean, personally, I wouldn't mind having one just to say that I have one, right? But do I need one? And the answer probably is no. Not for the things that I do, but you know, if you are someone who goes hunting and the like, check their bikes out. Yeah, seriously. I mean, I don't represent them by reviewing them or anything like that, and I seriously doubt they would give me one to review, but you never can tell, you know. But anyways, I gave them my contact information. I said, yeah, check my channel out. I know it's not really up their alley anyway, but you never know. So that's one company I thought was interesting. Other people asked me about other companies like Utopia. Yeah, you know, they have the carbon fiber bikes. After reviewing the footage, I said, yeah, I should really go talk to them. I didn't get a chance to do it because I just wasn't feeling well the second day. So I says, well, I guess not. So I think they had contacted me once before, but I just didn't do anything about it at the time. But that might be interesting. Anyways, that was something that I missed that I think I should have been able to talk to them. I did talk to Aventon, but those guys that I talked to are not the guys that I need to talk to. They're just guys hanging around that work for Aventon. So they're not going to do anything for me. They said if you want to review one of their bikes, contact them on their webpage. You know, the last time I did something like that, where I had to contact somebody on the webpage, I never got responses. I don't know if Aventon would do that to me as well, but I don't know if I would. Yeah, I would just say, you know, usually I don't go after bike companies. I just let them come to me. But sometimes, you know, you have to let them know. And Aventon is a big enough brand that I guess it would be kind of nice to be able to do a review or two of their bikes. Who else was interesting? I didn't get a chance to talk to much of the guys at Lectric. I did talk to one of the guys because he gave me an overview. But I wish I would have had more time to see it. But admittedly, I think a lot of people know that there's new bikes coming from them, and 2 new bikes are coming to me. In fact, I'll be getting those in a couple days. Yeah, I think they said Sunday and Monday. I'm surprised FedEx ships on Sunday, but every time they say Sunday, Monday, it becomes Monday, Tuesday. So I have a couple of electric bikes coming in. So I didn't really need to talk to them much because I knew they were coming anyway. But they've introduced at least 4 bikes. I know that because 2 of the models I don't have coming in. And I don't know if I'll get a chance to review that. They have their plan of who's going to review what, and not every reviewer gets every bike. So don't ask me if you know, hey, are you getting this bike? And I don't know. I really don't know. I did send an email to my contact saying I did see it at the show. Is it possible to review at least one of those 2 bikes? But I haven't heard back from them, so I don't know. That those bikes will come out first before mine. Like I mentioned in the past, many of the companies have an embargo time where you cannot release your videos until a certain date. So even though my bikes will be coming in, that's the time for me to play with them and do whatever it is that I do with them, and then release the video so everything is all ready to go. Many companies do this. This is not unique to them. A lot of companies actually do that because they want the review to be nice and clean and ready on the day of release. So yeah, so sit tight on that. I also got in the City Robin bike from Ufree, the one that they were showing me, that Daniel, the owner, was showing me, the green one. They came to my home and dropped it off to me after the show. So I already have that bike in my house. But that bike review won't come out anytime soon because I still need to do what I do. And then I got to ride it too in order to make the review. But of course, it's really messy out here in Chicago. So it's not going to happen anytime soon. But I already have that bike. The other new bikes from Ufree will be coming. So as soon as they're ready to ship them, then I'll be getting that. And I'm going to be doing one of them as a review comparison of the of the Stellar Falcon currently versus the new Stellar Falcon. So you'll be able to see that back to back. So anyway, that's the deal. That's what's going on. So I don't know if there's more for me to tell you about it or not. But I'm here at Costco. I'm ready to get my gas, so I'm going to go do that first. And then if I think of anything else, I'll put it at the end of this video. Okay, I'm back. Headed out of Costco now. There was one more thing I wanted to tell you guys. You know, when I went to see Himiway, Ben, who was showing me the ins and outs of the new 20-inch version of the D5 2.0 20-inch, his English wasn't the greatest, so he had this little device. It's like a earpiece, right? Stick it on your ear. He had one and he gave me one. And what it was a translator. So as he's speaking in Chinese and Mandarin, I'm hearing it in English. So it interprets everything he says. I mean, there's a slight delay, of course. You know, you have to wait until it interprets it. But that worked really well. I was like, I told him, I said, this is the first time I've ever had to opportunity to hear about, you know, actually try one of these things, because I've heard about them before. He goes, oh, he says, it's made in China. I told him, it says, everything's made in China. We had a nice laugh about that. I said, everything's made in China. What are you talking about? But it was really, really good. I think Apple is trying to develop something for their EarPods, right? I think that's what they're trying to do too. If they don't already have it, that it does a translation. I couldn't believe it. I had said, wow, that's that's pretty impressive. Yeah. So he wore one, I wore one. So yeah. But it worked out, you know, then he didn't have to struggle trying to understand what I was asking, and then he could just explain in Chinese, and then, you know, I could hear it in English. Now, if my Chinese was better, I still would never have understood him. Because I told him, it says, you know, I understand Toisan, which is closer to Cantonese. He goes, yeah. So I says, it wouldn't have made a difference. He doesn't speak Cantonese, he speaks Mandarin, right? So either way, we would have still needed to use it. So yeah, I mean, it's good. You know, now you can communicate with people pretty much directly by using these translation electronics. Think about this device, okay? Who would have thought that we would have something like this? You know, when you were a kid, could you even imagine something like this technology would even exist? It's just amazing to me. The world is changing. Sometimes for the better, sometimes not. People are worried about things like AI, but you know, at least in this case, this technology is good. Yeah, you can travel someplace and be able to communicate with somebody that doesn't understand your language. It's pretty cool. Makes me want to buy one. Not that I need it. I mean, who would I need to give it to? But in his case, you know, they sell in the United States. His English isn't as great, and all he does is hand you the earpiece, and you listen to it, and translates it for you. I wanted to at least tell you guys about that technology. We had a good talk afterwards too. Some of the things that you see on the video, I did talk longer to some of the other companies. So we talked even longer at Himiway. I just cut all that stuff out because some of the stuff is information that really shouldn't be given to the general public. So I had to cut all those things out. So we talked a little bit longer than what you see on camera. Even for instance, I went to go see Segway because I was walking by there and the guy smiled and waved. So I said, okay, I guess I'm going to go talk to Segway. Not that I was really, looking specifically to go talk to Segway, but I wanted to see their product anyway. And so they had three products there. If you look at the video, one is a really powerful looking Segway bike. I told him, I says, for certain reviewers, a product like that would be good to review. But I says, but here in Chicago area, at least for me, I can't ride a bike like this without probably getting stopped. He goes, yeah. So I says, so if I were to get involved with Segway, or any other company, I told him, I wouldn't be reviewing a bike like that. And he says, yeah. He says, I fully understand. He says, you would be more interested in the other two bikes. I go, yeah, because that would make more sense. I says, my viewership, not that my viewers would not buy a bike like that, because I know some of you guys would, but I says, but the vast majority, probably more concerned about the regulations and things that are coming down and may not want to grab attention like that. So he agreed. He says, yeah, I can fully understand that. So I said, well, if Segway wanted me to review one of their bikes, I says, I would not say no, after seeing their product, but I says, but I would have to say no to this particular product. So that's an interesting thing. Now, another thing, Engwe, right? We saw Engwe was shown on the video very quickly, and the gentleman behind there is a Chinese guy. He said hello to me. I talked to him longer, quite a bit actually, but I cut it all out. I cut it all out because, again, we were talking about things that it's not really open for the general public to know. So, but he did tell me, he says that Engwe, when I was dealing with Engwe, when I did the reviews, because he asked me, well, which models did you review? I says, I reviewed a lot of Engwe bikes. If you go back through the videos of Russ is Right, you'll see that I've had, I don't know, maybe at least 5, if not more, at least 5 models from Engwe that I reviewed. And so I showed it to him. He goes, wow, you did? I go, yeah, I did. I did. And he goes, wow. And so I asked him, I had not heard from Engwe in probably over a year or something. So I figured, well, maybe they just don't want to have me review any more bikes or whatever. So he told me, he says, Engwe China started they gave him the right to distribute the product in the United States. So he says, so you would no longer be dealing with Engwe China, but you would be dealing with Engwe USA. I go, aha, see? And that's stuff we didn't know. I didn't know that, and I says, well, that explains why I never heard from the company in like a year. He goes, yeah, that would be the reason why. Because he says, essentially, we took over, and now I am the guy who's, his company, is the guys that have to deal with it. But they had not been working with any of the influencers for a while. And he wasn't sure whether they will or they won't. I says, well, okay. I says, let me tell you something. I said, you can do whatever you want. It's your distribution thing. But I says, but realistically, when you keep the product in front of customers, meaning where people constantly see your bike, okay, it keeps the brand in their minds. So you cannot rely on simply older reviews that already come through already, that will be sufficient. I says, you either continue to keep advertising, or you continue to keep getting other influencers to do reviews of your bike, or even the existing influencers that continue riding your bike. But if you don't do that, then you'll find that people will forget about you because there's so much other competition coming through. So he goes, yeah, that's true. I guess he didn't think about that. So I told him, I says, even for me, I don't even have a single Engwe bike in my house anymore. I showed him what my living room looked like. He was shocked. He says, that's a lot of bikes. I go, yeah, and there's not a single Engwe sitting in there now. He goes, why not? I says, well, if I don't hear from you for over a year, I figure, why do I need to keep the bike? You see? I said it works both ways. Don't expect the YouTubers to continue riding your product if we don't hear from you, right? And they got ambulance coming through here, so probably hear that in the background. And a fire engine. It's usually the case, right? Both the fire engine and the ambulance will go out. So anyway, I just told him, I says, well, if you guys decide to one day go back and start working with the YouTubers, I says, keep me in mind. I says, I've always had a lot of fun reviewing the Engwe bikes, but I says, there's none of them in the house anymore. So I says, even if you haven't come out with any new models, if it's still the existing models, if you want me to ride your bike, you'd have to supply me with one again because I don't have any. He goes, okay, understood. So there's little things like that that I think going to these shows is important for both the manufacturer, but also for the attendees who give them feedback like that. I don't think they were, expecting to hear something like that going to the show, because this is a dealer show. But I wasn't a dealer. I'm just a YouTube guy. So I told him my perspective, and he understood. He says, "Yeah." He says, "Let me talk to the guys when I get back. Let's see what we should do." I says, "It's your decision, man." I says, "It's up to you." I says, "You got a good product, but people forget. You got to keep riding it." I says, "This is why some of the companies that I work with continue to work with me, because I do keep a lot of the bikes in the house, and I ride them all the time, as you guys know. But I've already moved out a lot of bikes, as you know. I got rid of a number of bikes out of the house in preparation of the new bikes coming in. And we already know from this show how many bikes are already coming into my home within this month. So I says, I can't keep them all, but, if you want me to ride again, you supply me another one, then I might ride it again, but I can't keep everybody's stuff." So, all right, that's all I got for you guys for today. If you liked the video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Let me know what you guys think. Talk to you guys next time.